Okay, we're good. We're live,
Oh, yay.
and
Hey
and
there,
and
Chi
we're
Chi
late.
fam. Oh,
Yeah, and we're late. We're like 2, 3 minutes late.
ooh,
But it's okay. Better late than never, right?
yep.
But let's wait for a few more people to pop on. Um, just FYI, everybody. If you guys are logging on right now, you guys are watching this stream. Lisa is not in her typical office, and so you. Where you at, by the way? Again?
I'm in Puerto Vallarta right now, you guys. I'm having a
Yeah,
blast.
yeah.
Yeah.
So she's on vacation, but she's still coming on live for all you guys. So if that isn't enough, like for you guys to get a click the like button on this video, then man, I don't know what to say. But yeah, she's not even local right now. But yeah, I wanted her to jump on today's live stream, give you everybody an update on what's been going on in the market. Because as you guys could read from the topic, the title, the real estate market is shifting, okay, and everybody's feeling it: buyers, sellers, agents, mortgage lenders such as Lisa. And so we just want to kind of, well, want to come on today and just prepare you guys. If you guys haven't already been notified about the situation, but not just prepare in the sense of updating you guys on the market, but help you guys be on a winning streak, right? Robert
Yeah.
says, "What's up? What's up, Robert? What's going on, man? Good to have you on." And so, yeah, we just want to kind of update you guys on what's going on in the market right now, so that way you guys could apply it wherever you guys are. Because I'm pretty sure Sacramento, um, it's not too far from where you're watching this from right now. Okay, but yeah, that's what we wanted to do for today. Give you guys an update on what's going on. And we have a few people on right now. So I'm just gonna jump right into the market update. Let you guys know that what's been going on this past week here in Sac County. So let me just share my screen. There you go. And man, inventory is up, you guys. Look at this. Just from the last couple of weeks, inventory has been skyrocketing. Okay. New listings are down. Okay. It's not a lot of new homes hitting the market. Sold homes did go up from last week. Pending homes did also go up from last week. Um, I want to kind of talk to you guys about this right here. So the market is shifting, right? More inventory is hitting the market. A lot of these inventory guys, because you guys are probably asking, if new listings are down, which is this blue line right here, if new listings are down, why is it the inventory is going up? Don't new listings count as like added inventory? It does, but many homes are also coming back on the market from pending, right? If you guys look
Mm-hmm.
right here, pending is the red line right here from this graph. And you see how it's kind of dribbling down? Pending homes are going down. And those pending homes, when it gets put back on the market as active, that's what is creating this inventory increase. Okay, you guys are gonna start seeing that more often. Um, okay, so I wanted to at least let you guys know about where this inventory is coming from. Part of it's new listings, but majority of it is coming from pending homes that are no longer pending. All right. Now this is from last week. This is from last month. Inventory increased 20% just from last month. New listings are down 50%. Okay. Sold homes 57%. Pending homes 3%. So look at all of this. Okay. That's the data. You got anything you want to share about this right here, Lisa?
Well, I think that the data speaks for itself, guys, right? And one of the things that I love, the way that you always show us this is These are the numbers. This is what's going on. There's a multitude of reasons why homes are going back on the market. Things are happening in our mortgage industry that absolutely probably is affecting this number by a lot. Okay, and we'll talk about that later. But yeah.
Yep. We are going to talk more about that, okay? And let's look at this. Average price per square foot hasn't changed from last week, but if you guys look from last month, it is down 2%, 2.5%. Okay? Average price per square foot. Days on the market, look at this. It's increasing. Just from last week, it went up 33%. So on average now, 20 days for a home to go pending. Do you have reasons why homes are coming back from pending? Yes, I'm going to share that with you guys, Sal, in a bit. So stay tuned for that, okay? I'll come back to your question in a bit after I do this market update. But yeah, thanks for the comment. If you guys have any questions, remember to put them in the live chat so that way me and Lisa could get to them. We do love the engagement from all you guys. So keep it coming, Sal, Robert, all you guys are watching, and we'll just come back and answer your comments in a bit, okay? So look, average days on the market has gone up. So that means it's taking a little bit longer now for sellers to sell their homes, okay? This is important for a shifting market, okay? And look, from last month, it increased like 50%, 58%. Sellers are still getting what they're asking for, but it's sitting. Their homes are sitting on the market a little bit longer now. Okay. Average price per square foot, look, it's going down. Active price, active sold, just from last week, 1% decrease. Okay. From last month, it's still going up, 5% from last month. But I don't think this is going to be the case for long. My future prediction is, with everything that's going on right now, the trend of the shift, this eventually is going to start going down on a month-to-month basis. Okay? So I want you guys to remember that. Let me go over to months worth of inventory. Oops. So months worth of inventory, it's getting up there. Now look, this, you could take this with a big grain of salt, okay? It says right now we have about 3.4 months worth of inventory. And if you guys remember what me and Lisa said, whenever this gets to 3.0 or more, we'll start seeing more of a steady market. When it gets up to 6 months or more, it'll be a buyer's market. Okay? That's when you're really going to start noticing price drops, buyers negotiating everything they want on a home, and sellers just going to have to give it to them. The roles are going to get flipped. Okay? We came back from a seller's market, and it's heading into a steady market. But we are still very early in July. Okay? It's only 7 days in. So this right here can drastically drop. It'll be more accurate towards the end of July because we're still so early on. This number, you have to take it with a grain of salt. But if this is the case, we're already heading into a steady market, okay? So this is very interesting. Does that shock you, Lisa?
It actually did, because you just did this 2 weeks ago. And this is, when it turns, you just never know how quickly it can turn, just like the way that the interest rates just quickly turn up and down.
Yeah. So that's what's going on right now. And remember, take it with the grain of salt. It might not mean that we have exactly 3 months worth of inventory. It just means that based off of today, okay, the 7th, it's comparing it to the 7th of last month. Okay, so I want you guys to take this number with a grain of salt. It'll be more accurate when we start going more towards the end of July. Okay, so remember this. And this is a market update. All right, you guys. Now, for today's topic, market shifting, and going back to your comments, Sal. Reasons why homes are coming back on the market, or coming back from pending. That's a very good question, and that is again going back to why inventory has increased over the past couple of weeks. Pending homes are coming back on the market because interest rates went up.
Yeah.
Number one reason is because of that. Buyers got into contract. Maybe they were in the process of doing their due diligence, and Feds raise a rate, and then now, holy smokes, I can't afford my mortgage anymore. So buyers are canceling now and exercising their contingency rights, and sellers have no choice but to put those homes that were pending back on the market. Okay, that's the number one reason why inventory is increasing. The number two is because buyers are seeing a trend that prices are reducing, and new buyers that are coming in are negotiating what they want on a home, like repairs, credits, price reductions. Some buyers that were in contract prior to this happening are seeing that, and they're like, you know what, seller, some buyers that we know are requesting this and that. Are you going to give it to us? If you're not, we're going to cancel and just go find another seller that will. So now the roles are flipped. Buyers are now coming to the table with demands now, and if it's not met, they're pulling the plug and they're going out there again to look at their options because they have more options now. There's more inventory. Yeah. So that's another reason. For another reason that you could add on to why homes are falling back out from pending is the condition of the property. They did inspections or they did appraisals, and appraisers are also noticing the shift, and they're adjusting their appraisal values accordingly to the market. And so now a listing agent may have put a home on the market for, let's say, $500K because it was worth that during that time. But then with the moment interest rates got increased and market started shifting overnight, that no longer applies to that home. So now reducing the price would have been a better fit for that new listing. So maybe $450 or $460 would have been a better list price versus $500K. And so because of that, buyers are canceling because homes are not appraising, or the home's not coming in with a condition that they had hoped it to be during the inspections. And then they cancel, seller puts it back on the market, and then it becomes part of a new number added onto the inventory. Those are some of the top reasons why inventory has increased so much over the past couple of weeks. And of course, you have your typical new listings that hit the market because it was overpriced. Nobody gets into contract with those homes. It sits, and once it sits, it's not considered new anymore. So that gets added to the tab of inventory.
Yeah.
Did I hit everything, Lisa?
You hit everything on the real estate side. May I share?
Talk about the loan side.
So the loan side, okay, guys, here's what's going on in the mortgage industry, because so many companies were focused on refinances and things like that, or outside the box, or allowed a little bit more leniency than what Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, which is the agency that actually lends money to banks to lend to consumers. Okay, it's falling out because, again, the interest rate went up, they max out, and there's no wiggle room for that. Because a lot of that is happening, okay, since May till now, there's 67 banks. Some of them have filed for bankruptcy. Some of them have had to sell their lending company to other companies. Some of them closed their doors. We just got all of that information today. Since May till now, 67 banks, okay, have been affected. So now with these reports coming out, every other lender is going to tighten their guidelines. They're going to be a little bit stricter. any loans that are considered high risk, or if they weren't kind of like doing what they were supposed to and following completely to Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac because they're thinking that, hey, we have other investors, we'll take this and we can sell it. This is what happens when a lender cannot sell a loan. They can't do more loans. There's only so much amount of money that they're allotted to. We call that a warehouse line. And whatever that amount is for them, let's just say it's $1 billion, okay? And they have $1 billion worth of loans that they couldn't sell it. So therefore, they could not free up that money in order to do more loans. If they can't do more loans, no production's coming in, then that's going to be a really, really tough thing. The reason why I want to share this with you guys is your team is doing their due diligence, and you know that they have a solid way of doing things. They have their systems and everything like that. If they are getting more strict, that's actually a good thing for you. Okay, that means they are trying to make sure that their loans are sellable so that they can continue to do that. When we got this report today, a lot of these people were asking us in the forums that I'm in, hey, can anybody take this loan? Help my people, please. Because their company just, and this is a tough time because I've seen this happen before. I started in 2007, so I'm seeing a lot of that happening. If they're not as strict with and doing their due diligence and stuff, things like this could happen. People who are taking a little bit more risk, more chances, and hoping that the market will turn around and have better rates. Right now, it's fluctuating, but it's already back at that 5.75%, which when the Feds first announced it a few weeks ago, we were already in the 6.5%. More inventory. When she was talking about that 3.4, it is skewed. So definitely take it with a grain of salt because it's coming back because of a lot of these issues. There's the appraisal gap. If homes aren't going to be selling, and then the appraisers aren't going to be able to appraise it for the price that the seller thinks it should be sold for. On top of that, with the interest rate fluctuating in such a short amount of time, people are considering either taking that money that they saved for a possible appraisal gap into buying down the interest rate. They don't have both. So now they're in a pickle. Okay. So if you're not seeing yourself with any type of wiggle room, and your lender's pounding out your pre-qualification in 5 minutes without getting any of your documents, any of your information, you do have to be very wary about that, because at the end of the day, we all have to do our due diligence, not just to keep our job and to keep our license, but to also keep our entire business afloat. And the more that I'm seeing that, the more that I'm seeing these coming in. We do have a couple questions that's kind of relevant to this, Chia. Do you want to tackle it?
Yeah, okay. I'm just going to go down the list.
Yes.
Okay. So thanks for the comments. Keep it coming. We're reading them. We love it. So keep it coming. Robert Perez says, do you think homes will really drop in price? I mean, homes are selling like crazy. Those owners still have high balances. I don't see them selling homes at a loss. Good insight, Robert. But these owners that did buy at a high price, if they're flippers like Zillow and Open Door, they're already doing it. Man, yeah. I just showed a home the other day to one of my clients, and Zillow bought it at $800K, and it came back on the market at $600K. That's $200,000 that they lost on one home.
Right.
So if it's a type of owner like Zillow and Open Door, where they have a lot of money to spend and they're just trying to liquidate, so a loss is a loss as long as they have cash, then you're going to see that. They're going to sell, okay? But a lot of owners that have owned their home for the past couple of years, they have equity. They have equity, so they're not worried. Even if they did reduce the price, I'm not talking about homes that are reducing price $50,000 to $100,000 like Open Door and Zillow. If it's a traditional private owner that owned it for over 3+ years, they're probably going to just reduce the price $10K, $20K, and it's still not going to hurt them. They're still on top because they have a lot of equity. Okay, that's what we're seeing. So if we go back to what I was showing earlier, right? This right here. See how it says 101 that means that sellers are still getting what they're asking for. They're only going to get what they're asking for if they priced it correctly. So even though
Mhm.
yes, there has been some price reduction that we've seen in the past couple of weeks, the sellers are still getting what they're asking for, because I want you guys to look at it like this, okay? Kind of like we got spoiled with interest rates being at 2% a few months ago, and now it's like at 5.5 to 6%, and we're like, oh my gosh, it went up a lot. It's actually normal rates. Prices are getting back down to normal prices. Okay. And back a couple months ago, sellers were able to get probably 20 to 30 offers on a home, and it was like 50 to 100K over asking price. Now it's probably like asking price now, or 10 to $5,000 over asking price with an offer, but they have to offer credit and price reduction down the line. Okay, so it's shifted a lot in that sense, not drastically like 08, 07. Okay,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I'm getting people confused with that. Yes, the market has
Yep.
shifted. So are we going to notice 08 prices? No, we're not. We're never going to see those prices again. That happened because of a lot of bad apples in the industry. We don't have that kind of bad apple right now. Loans are still very strict, right, Lisa? Like, I
Loans are
think
very strict,
back
and it's
go ahead.
supposed to be that way. It is supposed to be that way. But when I
Right.
got that list, it was because there was a couple of things. People are people, unfortunately, right? And there are unfortunately still bad apples out there. That's why we want you to have this PSA so
That's
that you
why
can
Lisa,
benefit
yeah, that's why
people.
Lisa was telling you
Yeah,
guys that before. Yeah.
yeah. I want you to make sure that if they're not doing their due diligence, if they're not going down the list of everything that's needed to do for you, and then all of a sudden you're in the middle of escrow, it's like, well, you didn't ask me for that before. Now I'm scrambling to get that. I could have gotten that 2-3 weeks ago,
Yep.
and a lot of times that could happen too, because again, all of the guidelines that they kind of like laxed on, now they're seeing what's happening in the industry, and they're saying, oh my, if we can't sell it, then that means our company might be in trouble. Okay, we gotta go play by the rules like everybody else again. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not going to be as bad as before, because exactly what Chia said, that there was hardly any guidelines back then. Okay. And now that those have been put in place, it weeds out a lot more, but still, there are still those type of situations. Now, Chia's right in the fact that when people are selling their property, we've always said, hey, look at the numbers. Bad market, good market. There's really, to me, there's no such thing as bad or good. It's whether or not it's good or bad for you. Is it still a good investment for you? Do you have an exit strategy? Do you have a plan B if the market does churn, right? And a lot of times when people are selling right now, okay, if you're not, people back then were getting loans that were upside down because the loan kept increasing every single month. The adjustable rate kept increasing phenomenally at an exponential, quick pace, and they couldn't keep up with that. They couldn't keep the house because they couldn't rent it out for the amount that they owe on every single month. So they're bleeding on that sense. They didn't have any equity. So if they sold it, they would lose out on that. Right now, people still have equity. Just like Chia said, they still have equity. Okay. And the more inventory is due to the less qualified buyers because of the stricter guidelines and because of the interest rate rising. That may actually change because now, because of that, the market in the industry is also adjusting. So everybody that's pre-qualified going forward and everything like that probably is you're going to see a lot more people talking about, okay, let's make sure you have a little bit of wiggle room. Let's make sure you have a little bit of this cushion. And that I'll put in one.
On top of that, price reductions. You're going to start seeing more price reductions. So that buyer, if you're that buyer that got kicked out of the market because you could only afford a home at, let's say, 500K, but the moment interest rates went up, you can't buy it anymore because that home is no longer available because it's still 400K, but with the higher rate, that 400K might get reduced to 300K, 350K. Now it'll be similar to when it was 400K and rates didn't go up as high. Okay, so those buyers that were experiencing that is going to start coming back into the market again to buy a home again because they're finally going to get a shot at homeownership, which is a great thing. Okay,
Yeah.
which is what we need, because it hasn't been like this for so many years. Okay, so now we're just now starting to see that shift. All right, so thanks so much for the comment, Robert. We're gonna go on to the next. Hopefully that helps. Billy says, "Is it a bad time for investors?" It depends on the numbers. There's still a lot of
Yep.
investors out there. I know, Lisa knows, that are
Hmm.
still buying homes, because for an investor, they're not emotionally attached to the situation of the economy. They are emotionally attached to the numbers, right? And
Oh
if it
yeah.
makes them money, they don't care if they're buying it high or they're buying it low, as
Yeah.
long as the numbers make sense for them. So if
Yeah.
you're buying it right and you have, like what Lisa said, if you have the right exit strategy for that particular purchase, then why not buy it? Because you're still gonna, the number is still gonna make sense for you. Why not? So,
Right.
what do you think about that, Lisa?
So if you are looking to invest, okay, whether or not you are a first-time buyer, first-time investor, you really, really just got to take all the emotions out and not talk about, hey, if I like this property, I made that mistake on my first investment, okay, where I was like, oh, I love this property. That means everybody else is going to love that property, but the numbers just didn't make sense. A lot of people did that in 2005 to 2008. So when we are talking about the numbers, ask yourself, okay, in 5 years, what is it that I really want from this investment? Do I want a cash flow? Okay. And there's so many ways to cash flow. You can do Airbnb. You don't have to be just renting it out. And if you are renting it out as an investor, okay, what number makes sense to you? A lot of times investors have to put in at a minimal 20% because the loan requires you to do so. But when I'm pricing it out to my investors, most of the time, 40% is that sweet spot where it actually gives you a cash flow, which means, say, for instance, if your mortgage and your property tax and everything that it takes to take care of that property is $2,500 a month, but you're renting it out for $2,700 a month, then you're cash flowing $200. If it's not the case, then you're cash negative. Want you to evaluate that type of investment. Okay. If you're looking for more of a cash flow, you possibly would want to rent it out as an Airbnb or possibly buy a multi-unit instead. And in that case, when you're looking at the numbers, if you're making money, it is a good investment. And a lot of times you're going to have to ask yourself, where is your risk tolerance? How much money do you want to make? Do you want to make 5%? Do you want it to make 10%? What is that risk tolerance that you're hoping for? And is it realistic in the market that you're wanting to buy? And if it is, then take a look at that, see what it looks at. Now, I have investors that actually buy property and lose money because they have so much other investments. They need to take a quote unquote loss so that they can write it off on their taxes. So that's another strategy as well, guys. Okay.
Yeah, every investor has a different end game. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and you gotta look at micro and macro when you're talking about your investment, right? Like what's gonna happen in 6 months, 3 months, a year, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. Every investor has a different end game. So yeah, some investors are at a loss right now and they don't care. That's probably what Zillow and Open Doors doing
Yes.
right now.
Yes.
They're at a huge loss. So yeah. Robert, investors were the ones buying up properties and why rent skyrocketed. Yeah, I guess you could say that, but how do you feel about this questions, Lisa?
Yes and no. Okay. And there's always going to be two sides of the coin. Okay. Investors buy because if you know your numbers, if you're a savvy investor, okay, then you know the numbers. If it makes money for you, of course, absolutely. Wouldn't you want to buy something that's going to make you money? And here's the other thing to consider too. The real estate market is one thing, but the stock market also took a tank. While our interest rates went up for mortgages, the stock market took a really heavy hit. If you did tech like I did, and thinking that it's a solid investment, even from last year to this year, a lot of the people in my investment group, we lost a good 80 to 85% in our portfolio. Okay. Not fun. not fun. We're writing it out and everything like that, but a lot of people are going to think of it that way. And where else are they going to park their money? They're going to park their money in real estate, because usually real estate is a lot less risky than a volatile stock. Okay, so when you're looking at from that point of view, as a true investor's point of view, because investors usually don't just typically invest in one portfolio, they don't usually just invest in real estate. They're going to look at every single thing: the mutual funds, the bond market, the stock market, the crypto market, even, right? And those of you guys that have crypto also know that there was such a heavy hit, in less than a year. It went up really well and then went down in a really short amount of time. So in order to recoup that cost, investors are going to look at, okay, where can I conservatively, or they're going to tighten up and they want to be more conservative. Real estate is going to be more conservative for them. The next question from Kong is, do you expect a crash? It is going to go into this. I personally don't expect a crash, just because of all the guidance and just because the supply and demand chain still hasn't shifted completely to that 6-month mark that Chia is talking about. Okay, we still have a lot of people looking to buy. Some of those people, unfortunately, got into a situation where they can't buy that price point that they want. But if the market is going to adjust, we're going to get those people back. People are realizing that, hey, it's not about getting that $600,000 house anymore for me. I just want to get my foot in the door. I just want to be in the game. So as soon as you guys realize that, you'll see that that's going to pick up again.
Another thing to add to that too, the reason I don't expect a crash is because, going back to what I was saying earlier, answering one of the comments, sellers right now have a lot of equity. And remember, we don't have a lot of new listings hitting the market for good reason, because those sellers don't want to sell their home and then buy a similar home with a higher payment because rates are higher.
Yeah.
And for them, they're scared, right? Of, shoot, if I sell my home, I'm going to be competing too. And I don't want to compete. I don't have a place to go because of COVID, because of uncertainty in the market, etc. I don't want to put myself and my family in that situation. So I'm just not going to put my house on the market because it's not the right time for me to put my house on the market. There's still a lot of those sellers out there that wants to sell and upgrade or downgrade, but they don't want to compete right now, and they don't want a higher payment because retirement is probably around the corner, and it doesn't make sense to retire at a higher mortgage payment. So they're waiting it out. But then those sellers have a lot of equity. So there's one reason why we're not going to experience a crash, because a lot of homeowners have a lot of equity. Okay, so they could always pull out, do a HELOC, or sell and get money on top of that. Two, demand, like what Lisa was saying, buyers, there's still buyers out there. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, it's just that they are waiting for the market to correct itself to a affordable point. Then they will get back into the door of buying and owning a home again for the first time. Okay. They're just waiting right now, and it's slowly happening. We're getting, me and Lisa right now, we have clients that are slowly coming back saying, okay, I want to redo my approval again based off of today's rates because I'm seeing some home on the market that I like and it's within my price point again.
Yeah.
We're seeing that, okay? It's trending back to that because there's more inventory now and prices are also getting reduced, and sellers are being more accommodating now to buyers because they know that a shift is already in play. Okay, so that's a reason. Another reason is people are gonna need a home, right? If they can't qualify, to buy a home, they're gonna rent. So it goes back to that other comment from a subscriber. Yes, investors are buying homes to rent because unfortunately, if you can't buy, you still need a house for you and your family. So you're going to automatically rent until you can position yourself to qualify to buy your own home. That's just the reality of it. So for now, you're renting, and somebody's got to provide housing, right? And so if a investor comes in and they're willing to take a hit, a loss because they need it for tax purposes, they're going to buy a home and rent it out. We need investors. As much as we hate some investors that are buying up all these properties, remember they only make up, I think, 30% of the buying pool right now. Majority of people that are buying are still first-time home buyers. Okay, remember that.
Right.
So that's why I don't really see a crash happening. And remember, this correction that we're going through right now, this shift, it's just long overdue because we've been in an overinflated market for such a long time. There's a lot of fake money that was pumping into the system, the economy. And so people were spending that fake money, and that was inflating the market, but it was a fake fake market during that time. So now everything's kind of trending back to normal rates, normal prices. That's what we're seeing. So it's correcting itself.
Right.
So that's why I don't think a crash is happening, because we don't have bad loans. We don't have bad loans.
Right.
People are not going to foreclosure.
We shouldn't. Yeah, we shouldn't. You shouldn't. And before this happened, guys, before 2010, just so that you know, loan officers did not even have to have a license. Okay, they changed that. They changed that for the sole purpose of us, you know, of taking out those the people that were doing that. Okay.
Yep. So there you go. Next question or comment. Remember, if you guys have more comments, put them in the live chat. We love it. Keep it coming. Robert says, when the banks sell loans to free money up for more loans, do they sell the loans at a discount? Oh, good question for Lisa.
Yes. So this is the fun part. This is the back end stuff that usually consumers don't really see. And most lenders, most lenders don't know this, but I love learning about the back end just because it's fun to me. And think of it this way. You know how there's people who buy homes to flip, there's investors to flip property and everything because they're looking at it, hey, bird in the hand, two in a stone, right? Two in the stone would be a investor who's renting it out for a long-term gain where they're thinking, okay, I'm just going to rent it out. I'm going to get some cash flow and everything like that, okay? It's a slower cash flow than if I flip it right away, but it's a little bit more consistent. I kind of like that. And if I have multiples, if I'm making, $200 to $1,000 to $1,000 per house. And if I had 10 houses, I'm pretty set. I have a passive income of X, Y, and Z, and this is how much I want my lifestyle to be. Then you have the flippers who are like, you know what? The market's so great right now, and this house is so bad, but because I'm a contractor myself, or I have a family member who's a contractor, or I have a contractor that's quick for me, I'm going to make a quick $50,000 to $100,000 within 3 months. I'd rather have that. Okay. So how does that relate to the banks selling loans? It's just like that. The warehouse line that some banks have, especially if, they do niche products, they may only have a line for $1 million. Okay. Once they use that up, they can't do any more loans until they sell that all. So when they do riskier loans and they have less investors who want to buy that type of loan, that may be a hardship for them. That's what I mean when they're saying they're going to tighten it up. Then you have the other banks who have a warehouse line of maybe $100 billion. Okay. And then therefore they're thinking, okay, I'm going to hold it. I'm going to get interest off of all the loans that I get. And that's my passive income. Do you sell it at a loss? It depends. Every investor at some point is going to sell something at a loss because they're looking at it on a strategic standpoint that, hey, the market's kind of funky right now. I don't really like it. If you guys have stocks, it's a very similar situation. It's like, okay, I'm either going to lose $15,000. I'm either going to lose $100,000, or I could potentially lose 10 times more than that. Let's go ahead and just cut our losses here. Tax write-off, we'll call it a day. So it's possible that they will do that. Not much in this market, I don't think, because there's still, again, equity in most people's houses. Okay, so they're not forced to do that. Of those banks that I was talking to you about, that's having troubled waters and everything, some of them are selling to other lenders as well. Some of them are joining forces. Some of them are merging. If they're small companies and one has a warehouse line of $1 billion and the other one has a warehouse of $1 billion, now they combine voices. They have two. And instead of having two operation teams, they're now consolidating and only having one operation team, which will also cut their overhead. So that helps them as well pump up more and help them be more sustainable.
There you go. That was a lot. I didn't understand none of that. Only a tiny bit because you mentioned flipping, similar to flipping.
Oh.
So I understood that right there. So I'm glad you used that to paint the picture. But there you go, Robert. I think a follow-up comment was, why would a bank want to buy another bank's mortgage? You already mentioned it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Another thing too is buying notes, non-performing notes, and make it performing and sell it to a bank. There's investors that buy non-performing notes all the time, and if you guys haven't checked out that video, here, let me show it to you guys real quick, okay? If you guys haven't checked out that video that I did with one of my buddies, yeah, you guys need to go and check it out because he actually spoke about notes. Yeah, let me just share my screen real quick so you guys can see. Okay, he actually spoke about it. If you guys go to my video archives, this guy right here. Don't flip houses, flip notes. See this right here? Sign. He flips notes, and this is all he does. He buys a bunch of non-performing notes, which is basically a mortgage, right? That somebody stops paying on, and then he buys it. He makes them resume the payments, and now it looks good to a bank, and he sells it to an investor or bank to buy it back. He makes a profit from that. So there's a lot of ways you can do to make a profit in real estate. Okay. So there you go. Thanks for the comment, Robert. Great info. Thanks. You're welcome, Billy. Thanks for the comment. Keep it coming. Goming says, interested in new inventory and see that there's a lot of new construction that hasn't been listed in Orlando, Florida. With rising rates, non-bank lenders going out of business, bank lenders like Wells Fargo are becoming strict with buying guidelines. I'm thinking that by the time the new construction hits the market, they will have to sell for a huge loss. That's funny you say that, Kong, because a lot of well, first let me start from the top. New inventory from new construction, you're not going to see it on a traditional MLS because they don't normally list with the agent. They have their own inside rep, and they're not going to want to list with an agent. So because of that, the agent doesn't have the right to put it on the MLS, which is basically like the market for all buyers that's looking to buy a home. So it's not going to show up on the inventory for that. It's only going to show up on sites like Zillow and etc. But they're not going to say that it's a new inventory. So a huge tip for you if you're looking into new construction, go register, get connected to a rep, or have your agent get connected to a rep from a new build construction that you want to buy and get updates, because they're human and they want to make a sale and they want to get these homes off the books because it looks bad when it sits on the market. If you have a connection like that on the inside, a rep could probably call you and say, hey, I got a home that's been sitting. It just hit the market. You might be able to get a deal, okay, on those homes. Another thing, so that's not going to reflect the inventory that your realtor sends you because it's not going to be on the market. And then two, yes, a lot of new builds are going back to their agents because if you guys remember, just from this last year, a lot of new builds don't work with agents like myself anymore because they want to cut out that commission that they have to pay the buyer's agent, which is me being in a buyer. So they decided not to work with agents no more. And now that interest rates are up and it takes a buyer maybe 6 months to a year to lock in that rate to buy that new build, by the time their home is ready a year later, their payment's probably doubled. So they're
Yeah.
seeing that now, and buyers are seeing that now, and buyers are canceling now. And now those homes that have already been in contract with a buyer with upgrades and all of that is coming back on the market. And they're getting so many of those inventory now that they're calling agents like myself back, trying to rekindle that relationship, saying, "Hey,
Right.
we're working with agents
Mhm.
again. Do you have any clients that want to buy this home that just hit the market?" But it didn't hit the market. It came back on the market because somebody canceled.
Right.
I have clients that unfortunately had to go through that. And you guys got to be careful too, because new builds, if you guys remember, me and Lisa mentioned this a few months ago
Mm-hmm.
about new builds, they know that interest rates are going up. Okay. They get
Yeah.
the same information me and Lisa share with you guys on a weekly basis. And they know that interest rates are going up, and they know that buyers are going to eventually cancel. So you know what they're doing? They're not giving you your deposit back. If they
Yep.
do, it's in a form of a credit,
Mm-hmm.
meaning you have to go back to them and you apply that credit for a purchase,
Right.
which is screwed up.
It is screwed up. And to tag on that a little bit more, Chia, now that you went into the new builds, one of the new builds lender, house lender that they've been using, they actually just closed their doors. They filed for bankruptcy. And so yeah, so that was an easy transition for me because they're always, pushing to get that lender approved. And unfortunately, this person just registered with them. My client registered with them, and they already forego their deposit. So luckily, I was able to help them and everything like that. But it is a very unfortunate situation. Okay. You may be seeing that a lot more often. So anytime you guys go to a brand new build, please make sure you guys have representation. They get a little bit sneaky. Even if your
Get
agent
an
tells them,
agent.
yeah, not only that, when you have your agent, please make sure to let your agent know to register. Whatever they ask you to sign, even a sign-in sheet, don't do it. Because now that I'm seeing more and more of my people with home builds, okay, it's out to be 200 pages, which in a normal contract is about 25 pages, okay, guys? But their contract is about 200
They're being
pages.
sneaky.
The client that I'm having is almost 400 pages and in very small, very fine print. And I gotta look at it. I was like, okay, where does it say where you're gonna have to forego your deposit? Oh, it's on page 372. Okay, so it like not easy, and you don't have the right representation. They don't want you to have an advocate. Sometimes it sucks, but they don't want you because these are the things. And your lender, the person that's advocating for you, will also want the best interest for you. So remember that if they're advocating for something and they're trying to control everything, there's a reason for that. You want to be the one in control. At the end of the day, you guys are the one that's going to be shelling out the dollars for mortgage, for everything else. And they're going to tell you to buy all the bells and whistles, all of the upgrades, which by the way, anytime you add that upgrade, it goes into the purchase price and your property tax increases with that. So you're going to be paying for that upgrade forever through property tax or higher property tax.
Yep. Again, but then just to disclaim, we're not bashing on new build. New builds are
Right.
great, but you just gotta understand your contract, what you're buying.
Right.
And I just hate it when I see new builds take advantage of first-time home buyers and they don't educate them, because
Right.
they're not going to tell you what you're getting yourself into, even though they know. Actually, I take that back. Some reps don't even know what's in the contract because they don't read it. So you gotta have representation, have your own agent go in there with you, so that way they could be an advocate. All right. Continue on with this comment. Yeah, some big banks are letting go of people, and I'm gonna have Lisa talk more about that towards the end of the live stream, because that's her industry. Okay. She kind of shared a little bit about that already, but yeah, a lot of banks are letting go of their people y'all, and you guys need to be careful who y'all sign up with, so that way you guys don't get a loan with the bank that might be closing their doors.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm thinking that by the time the new construction hits the market, they will have to sell it for a huge loss. Eventually, some builders will be selling at a loss because
Yes.
inflation, supply chain, like that's the only thing that's slowing down construction right now for new builds is because supply chain. They don't have all the
Yeah.
material, and it's not safe for a buyer to buy it now because they don't have the material, so they can't build it yet. So you can't close on it. And so even so, if you're buying a new build, if they tell you a date, take it with a grain of salt. Add a few more months to it for your planning, okay? Because they're gonna tell you a certain deadline, but it's gonna be inaccurate. 100%, it's gonna be inaccurate. Okay, so plan for the worst because you don't want to be homeless with you and your family because you realize your home is being built in August and you sold your home in August, but then your home got an update on the supply chain and it's actually not going to get done till December.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for the comment. What were you going to say, Lisa?
Well, I was just going to say, just be very, very cautious of all of the fine print where it says, when is your deposit relinquished? There's a reason why they want to hold on to that, because they cannot control those changes. They cannot control labor. They cannot control supplies and everything like that. And if it is their fault, okay, and if you don't know where that verbiage is because the contract is so big, ask them. By law, they do have to follow the rules too, but they're hoping that the unbeknownst consumer won't ask them these questions. Hey, can you show me where on this contract that it says that I have a certain date where my deposit is relinquished? Okay. Yeah. And a lot of times when you go into a brand new build, their deposit is much higher than the normal deposit of a house.
Yep.
Also keep in mind, when you are looking at brand new builds, again, we're not bashing. My first home here in Elk Grove was actually a brand new build and I loved it too, okay? It comes with a lot of conveniences. Totally, totally, totally get that. But take a look at all of that so that you know at least they can show you, what if it's your guys' fault? What if it's your lender's fault? Will I get my deposit back because, somebody didn't do their due diligence?
Mm-hmm.
At least, have those conversations with them.
Yep. Cover your butt. He says, looking at 45 years from now, in regards to my previous question. Oh, for the crash. So for me, I always feel like a correction, a market correction or a recession is different from a crash.
Yeah.
Okay. I think a crash is what we experienced in 07, 08. Okay. When the market just tanked and all of a sudden, literally overnight, people lost value in their homes like 50 to 100K, or maybe even in half of what they bought it for. And they were upside down right away. That for me is a crash. A recession, I feel, is what's going on right now. Prices are adjusting to normal price. Rates are adjusting to normal rates. That's a recession. I don't foresee that we are gonna go through a crash in the real estate market. I think more on the stock market. I don't think more on the real estate side because, again, there's still a lot of people buying. And if you guys listen to all of our live streams that me and Lisa has been doing within the past couple of weeks or months, we said that prices will eventually adjust back and it's going to get down low to the point where it's going to be a buyer's market, okay? And that's normal. Markets go up and down all the time. That's normal. It doesn't always stay up. What goes up must come down. What's down for a long time eventually is going to go back up, like what we've been noticing after 08, 09, 010. Okay? So we've been riding the seller's market for such a long time that we were actually long overdue for a correction. So this correction is coming in now, and we're seeing the shift. It's normal.
Right.
So is it a crash? I don't think it's a crash, unless Lisa has a different opinion.
I don't think so. And here's the reason why. So my son studies macroeconomics with a really, really, really long name in UC Davis. He's 21. He came up to me about 2 weeks ago and he asked me, he's like, Mom, I'm seeing the home prices. I see what you guys do and everything like that. I don't, you know, I like my roommates a lot. Would I be able to buy a house with them? And I'm thinking, yeah, absolutely. And here's the first group of Gen Zers, I'm starting to see them. I'm starting to pre-qualify them. They're in their mid-20s, guys. This is going to be the next norm. So if you can't buy a house on your own and you're looking at, well, I'm a single person or I have a significant other, I'm already living in a roommate situation. Either I continue to be in a roommate situation or I get a group of my friends together and I buy it. This may be the norm for Gen Zers. The reason why this is important when you guys understand that crash is because that generation is much more open to that, which means we're going to have a different type of buyers coming in real soon in the next 4 to 5 years that you're talking about, Kong. Okay. And now you're competing with the next generation of buyers. Yep. Oh, yes. Correction.
Yeah, correction.
You see that, Kong? Great questions, by the way. Great questions.
Yeah, this is great. This is awesome. And this ties into this title and everything me and Lisa wanted to talk to you guys about. And so, yeah, keep it coming. I do want to talk about the topic, though, of the mindset shift that everybody should have in their minds right now, whether you're a buyer or a seller, even if you're an investor, right? Because investors are very savvy are changing their mindset right now. A very savvy investor knows exactly what we're in, and they already adjusted their portfolio to this time already. So for you buyers, okay, because we are going through a shift, you need to keep in touch with your agent. Okay.
Yeah.
If you were that buyer that got kicked out the market because rates went up and prices were just too high for you to afford that home, stay in touch with your agent because if you're loyal to that agent should earn your business because they got to feed their family too, because this is all commission based. We don't get paid for showing homes or driving around all day. We get paid when the client finds their dream home and gets key delivered. Okay. So that's one. And two, when you're getting ready to jump back into the market, like that agent, if you've been staying in touch with them, that agent will be updating you on home prices, like what we're doing right now. That agent is telling you, hey, look, homes are getting affordable again. Did you want to go back and look at homes, etc.? Give you an update, okay, on your local market. And as a buyer, your mindset now should be to come in and know that you have options now. You don't have to feel the pressure of, oh my gosh, I have to settle. This home just came on the market. I need to settle. You don't need to have that mindset no more. That was the buyer's mindset a couple months ago. But now your mindset should be looking at homes every week, and really going after the home that's the right fit for you and your family. If the home came on the market for $500K, you don't need to go over that much anymore. You might not even need to go over at all. If you get lucky, if your agent's really good at finding clues or information about that listing, you might even be able to get a discount price right out the gate. Mm-hmm. Just saying, this is the time that for you to have that opportunity right now. Okay. And if you're a buyer right now, your mindset too should also be shifted to where if you're in contract with the home, or if you're in contract with the home, going back to what the offer was, you don't need to be that aggressive no more. Keep all your contingencies. do the inspections, do the appraisals. You don't need to pay for the appraisal gap anymore, and keep all your contingency timelines to protect your deposit. So that way, if you do exercise those contingencies, you get your deposit back, and you can
Yeah.
go back to looking at a new home with more homes with your agent. Okay, so keep those contingencies. You don't have to be that aggressive anymore. Did I miss anything else, Lisa, for buyers?
No.
Okay, so and then for sellers, you gotta list your home correctly. Do not overprice your homes because that shift has already sailed. You We're no longer in that market now to where your mindset should be to overprice your home. As a matter of fact, if you done comps and you think your home is worth, let's say 500K, don't put it on the market for 500K. Put it on the market for 580, 590, because you're already gonna get buyers that's gonna come in and lowball if you put it on the market for 500 like you want it. Put it slightly below market comps to get traction, because if you need to sell, that's gonna be the biggest game changer. If you're that seller that is ignoring all of this and going, nope, it's still a seller's market, I'm gonna name my price, your home is gonna sit. And what's gonna happen is when it sits, you're gonna be reducing price week after week, and it's still counting the days on the market. And when buyers sees the clock, the days on the market number going up, they're gonna keep wondering what's wrong with that home. Is it haunted?
Mm-hmm.
Is something wrong with it? Is it overpriced? Yes, it was. Or was it a drug house? Like, they're gonna wonder. Buyers' minds wonder. Okay, me and Lisa work with a lot of buyers in our years, and
Yeah.
their minds wonder. They're first-time home
Yeah.
buyers. Buying a home is already overwhelming for them. When they see that a home's been on the market for over 3 months with price reduction and nobody wants to take it off their hands, they wonder. Okay, so you don't want to be that seller. Price it accordingly, price it pretty competitively, because eventually you're going to be competing with your neighbors that's selling their home too. And your neighbor that knows the market and know that it's shifting is and shifted their mindset might even be offering a lot of incentives with the purchase of their home. So you might need to shift your mindset as well. All right? And yeah, that's the mindset shift you guys all should be going through. Investors,
Yeah.
just be very conservative now on your numbers. If you think that the ARV on that flip property that you're about to buy is a little bit high or more aggressive, you might want to bring it down. Be very conservative on your numbers because it might sit longer. So that's eating at your net costs. Supply chain is increasing the inflated prices for materials. So that's going to eat into your ARV. All of that. So just be very conservative now. Don't be aggressive anymore, because now's not the time to time the market. Did I miss anything, Lisa?
No, I think you hit the nail on the board, and I think we have an insight from Angie.
Oh yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Let's click on that. I don't think prices are going to drop evenly all over the country. California won't drop as much. You are correct. It's not going to drop evenly across the country. So right now, me, Lisa, we operate more in Sac County, Elk Grove area, Sacramento, Greater Sacramento. Our market, for some reason, we're very fortunate. Our market, we're still getting a lot of traffic. We're still getting people buying. A lot of investors from out of town are still investing in California, Sacramento, Elk Grove. So we're very fortunate to still be where we're at right now, to where we still have business, if I'm being frank with you. So yes, prices are not going to drop throughout. Yes, they're not, but it will eventually. And I'm feeling it. I'm in California right now, and saying all the good things about Sacramento and Elk Grove, I'm feeling the shift. I'm taking my buyers out to go look at homes, and we are like lowballing offers, and we're getting them entertained.
Mm-hmm.
So we are feeling the shift, and our offers are like straight off the bat lowballs, and we're getting like entertainment from sellers. So I'm seeing the shift, and I think it's important that for us, right, for me, Lisa, to share this information with everybody, because
Yeah.
then that way you could prepare yourself. Yeah, maybe one particular zip code or subdivision area might be excluded from everything that we're talking about, but the overall picture, eventually that's going to catch up to it too. That's just
Yeah.
how it is. Kong says, I'm doing that right now in regards to house hunting within the Orlando area and adjoining counties. Looking for my first home in new construction, looking for and studying current 450 to 500K homes that will definitely drop 25 to 35% after the correction happens, which I think is 45 years from now. You also got to consider this, okay? Yes, let's say price do adjust. What are interest rates going to be?
Mm-hmm.
So let's calculate this, okay? Be as realistic as you can with yourself, okay, Kong? If you have a good lender and
Mm-hmm.
they're telling you certain projections on the rates, what it might look like in, let's say, your time frame, 3 to 4 years, and let's say you're also considering the price drop of 25 to 35%, consider the rates too. Is there, and consider the equity and the principal that you're going to be losing out on if you wait. So you got to look at all of that and do a comparison based off of your situation right now versus then. And then you could make a better informed decision whether it's worth the while for the price to really drop,
Right.
but rates go up higher. And you're losing out on the equity. Like, I don't know what the market's like in Orlando, but like,
Hot.
I think it's only fair, right? I know it's hot. It's hot everywhere still. But like I think it's only fair for you and your family, Kong, to like do the
Yeah.
numbers so that way you know for sure what you might be missing out on versus what you're waiting for, what you're saving.
Right. Well, Kong, the reason why I know it's hot too is my family is looking in the Orlando area, and we're looking about 30 minutes away from Disney World. So that's why.
I have a friend in Disney World that bought a bunch of Airbnb properties a couple years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and man, he's doing good.
Yeah, because Airbnb is still very, very doable. They're very
Right next
friendly
to
to
Disney
do
World too.
that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yeah. But that's all the comments. That's everything we want to talk about today. Oh, did you want to share more about the big banks and all that, Lisa?
Well, earlier I mentioned, guys, there's over 60 banks that showed sign of trouble. We do get these reports all the time in the lending industry so that we can have a gauge of what's going on. So if this is just so that across the board, people monitor this, we monitor this to study it, to say, okay, what's the trend looking at? Nobody can predict what's going to really truly happen in the next 45 years. However, it's good to see these types of things because then we see patterns, right? We see patterns, and that's what helps us to see, okay, what can we predict may happen because of X, Y, and Z, because of the economy, because of the job market, because of Gen Zers moving in, because of all the big banks who took more risks, or they want to free up their warehouse line. And just when the economy is getting tough too, you guys are going to start seeing your credit card companies and other bank company, other products. If you had a credit card that gave you $20,000, they may send you a letter. In the next few years, if everything's tightening up, it's going to be tightening up everywhere, and you're going to see it's like, hey, nothing wrong. It's just the way that it is right now. We're going to have to cut your credit limit to 10,000. That may actually happen to a mortgage lender who has that warehouse line, which is the bank's version of their credit card that they're utilizing in order to take out and lend to the consumer. Okay. So as you're seeing that progress a little bit more, the greatest thing that we can do is just make sure that you're not relying on just your team's due diligence. As we're giving you this information, I hope that you're going down that list too and say, hey, Is my lender doing this? Is my agent doing this? Am I giving myself enough wiggle room? Do I have enough to walk away if this truly isn't a good investment for me, especially if it's in a builder situation where the phase that you got it in is $100,000 more than the first or the second phase that just came out and barely their labor. Okay.
Yep. And on another note, just to add on to that before we close out, hey Sabrina, what's going on? Just saw you came on. But yeah, just to close out this live stream, if you were like upset that the market is the way it is because it's so high and it's not giving you the opportunity to buy, just again stay in touch with your agent, okay? Because prices are adjusting back to where it should have been, and there's going to be a lot more price reductions. And so if you are not staying in touch with your agent, get back in touch with your agent, because that opportunity might present itself again, and you might be able to find an affordable home for you and your family sooner than you think, okay? Because now everything's going to be shifting soon. Not a lot, but it is going to be shifting in your favor. So just to close out on a positive note to all you buyers that are still looking, that it's your time is gonna come up sooner rather than later. All right, so just stay in there, get updates from your lender, get updates from your realtor, and just be proactive. Okay, ask a lot of questions, and just educate yourself so that way you could make a better decision for you and your family. That's what you should be doing right now. Okay. And for those that are renting and looking to buy, work on your debt, work on your credit, save money, so that way by the time it's your turn, you're already ready to go. Have all your docs in line. Always stay in touch with the lender, because that lender is going to give you a game plan on how to prepare to buy your first home. All right, always. And most lenders do it for free. Okay, so take advantage of that. Get into a relationship with the lender and just become their friend, and so that way you know the whole process and you know how to get yourself ready. All right, but other than that, we're gonna let you guys go and enjoy the rest of your evening. Thanks so much for all the comments. We love it, the engagement. That's why we love doing this. Okay, we just want to update you guys on the market and educate you guys so that you guys can make the best decision for you and your family. All right. Well, take care, you guys. Bye now. See you guys next time. Peace.
Bye, Chi Chi fans.